Welcome to the Money Pig Podcast, presented by Goodwin Investment Advisory, where our mission is to lead you to financial pig, peace, independence, and generosity. I'm your host, Tim Goodwin. And welcome back to the Money Pig Podcast. We're super excited to have none other, the one, the only, Coby Sullivan. So good to have you, Coby.
It's great to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks.
man.
Yeah.
This is your first time
Ever on a podcast.
ever.
Yeah,
You said
ever.
like first time with a mic, shoved in
pretty
front of
much,
your
yeah,
face.
exactly.
So, okay. Awesome, man. Well, we're excited to be the first for you. And I wanted to share with the audience that you have an official B-Top nickname, which is Sully, right?
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, I think it's a good name because you said that you actually had some of your friends have called you that in the past. Okay.
Yep.
And I don't know that when the team was talking about giving a nickname that we realized that, but the Sully reminds a lot of us of that movie Monsters, Inc.
Mm-hmm.
And the big furry monster guy. Like you're big and tough, but you're like super nice guy at the same time. So we love calling you Sully. So, all right. So welcome to the podcast. We love to get started with just kind of hearing, now, we're actually going to let the audience get to know you because you're our newest team member here. But I love asking guests at the beginning to maybe just share something kind of unique or interesting about them that the audience doesn't know. So you can really pick anything, Coby, because they don't know anything about you yet.
Well, I don't know if we'll get to all of this, right? But I was in Alaska for 3 years and with the Army, and we did a little bit of hunting, but a lot of ice fishing. And turns out driving your truck in the middle of a lake can be a little bit anxiety producing.
Little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, a little nerve-wracking.
Now, you brought this up recently where you guys went on a snowmobile tour.
Did.
How fast were you able to get your snowmobile up on the frozen lake?
So I'm going to say 100, but it could have been kilometers per hour.
So fast.
But I'm hoping
yeah.
it could. I would like to say it was miles per hour.
Either way, the dashboard said three digits.
There was 3 digits.
And you're on a snowmobile, open air. Yeah. Wow. That is hustling. That is super fast. So I also know that you are, I'm pausing here because I thought I had this dad joke on here that tied into something, but nope, I don't. So yeah, I'm just going to go a whole different angle on this dad joke. So, Coby, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Why did the Scarecrow get an award?
Get an award?
An award, the Scarecrow. Why did he get an award?
Oh my gosh.
Because he was outstanding in his field. So bad. All right, we're going to move on here. All right, so this is the interview of Coby. We want to introduce you guys. Why do we do these? Because I care about the people that work here. We care about our clients. And I just think it's really cool to kind of look under the hood and get to know our team members. So let's get started with kind of this major career transition that you just had, right?
Yeah.
So you went from the military to civilian life here with us and decided to kind of leave the military early before the 20-year, right, retirement kind of plan and come to finance. So really interested just to kind of hear why you made that transition from the military to finance. And then we might even, unpack some of your transitions in the military too. Yeah.
So one, I loved my time in the military. It's definitely an influential time. And I'm really glad that I did it. Something I would never take back, but it's hard on you and the family. Right. A little bit, right? I deployed for a year while I was in Alaska. So I didn't get to see my wife for like 11 months.
Wow. How long have y'all been married?
At that point?
Yeah, at that point.
Oh my gosh, testing me on the spot. 3 years, two or 3 years.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll have Hallie circle back with us and let us know when she's listening to this. If that's right. Yeah. Just a few years, but still, regardless, that totally sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there was the fact that we wanted to kind of settle down, put down roots. Little third of my wife, she's an actress out of here in Atlanta. So we wanted to be in the Atlanta area.
Right. Okay.
So that kind of gave us a target for a spot. But then there was also the career transition side of this. I was like, what am I going to do? And I really wanted a job. And this kind of came from other veterans that got out. They're like, hey, make sure that you have a job with purpose. Whenever you get out of the military.
Critical.
You don't realize it because you get out, it feels like you're retiring. And you're so happy to be done with all the stuff you had to deal with. But quickly you realize that you need to have a reason to get out of bed in the morning more than just a paycheck, and so you want to actually do something that's meaningful to other people as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's going to keep you happy too. Ultimately, you've just got to find that work. You're like, hey, I would do this even if I didn't get paid.
Yeah.
I need to get paid. So that's great, but as a bonus. So you made a big transition in the Army from being a captain to a ranger instructor. So share with us why you decided to, pull rank or whatever it's called and change it up.
So as a captain, I was a ranger instructor. Most of the positions for that job are filled by like non-commissioned officers, NCOs. But I had the chance I like working with small teams, right? For one. So I really enjoyed having, 12, 11 guys underneath me. And that's what I did for most of my time as a ranger instructor. It's called a platoon tactical trainer, right? So basically what that means is I ran a team that either did tactics or mountaineering. And so I wanted to transition to something where I worked with a small team and also got to do something fun. I like teaching, which is another reason kind of drew me to finance.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like the idea of developing, men and women in the military, because it's what I did. It's like Ranger School. If anybody doesn't know, it's like the premier leadership course in the military. I would say probably even potentially in the world, depending on what your job is. But we've had people had Hungarians, we've had Ukrainians, we've had all over the world have come to Ranger School, to include within our military, Navy, Marines, Air Force, everybody, obviously Army, come and train with us to learn and develop their leadership skills.
Wow, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Share a little bit of like, you talked about some of these like tactical missions. I think you've shared some stories about like there at night and how much you're carrying and what you're doing. Maybe share a little bit.
Yeah. So as an instructor, I'm not doing quite as hard stuff, I guess to say, but as a student, a lot of what you're doing specifically to Ranger School was a lot of night operations. So you're wearing night vision goggles. You're moving 10 kilometers at night through the mountains. In Florida, you're moving through the swamps, taking boats. Yeah, no, I've walked past gators and snakes. So it's all right. It's a little nerve-wracking.
At night.
Yeah, and then you're doing all kinds of missions, raids, ambushes. Most people probably don't know what those are, but it's tactical missions on how to, destroy the enemy pretty much. So that's what you're learning in Ranger School. You're just also being tested in your leadership abilities during it.
Right. Yeah. And that really translates to like when we're working in the office with rucksacks and night vision goggles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
swamp,
exactly.
Bumping into alligators.
We do that every day. Room clearance in the morning. Yeah.
We all wait outside for Coby to clear the area before we enter the building. Let me circle back to the career transition from the military to being a financial advisor, because you were saying that some of your mentors and friends were like, find the thing with purpose. And then you were talking about Atlanta was perfect for Hallie, moving into developing her career as an actress. So you're like, okay, I want it to be purposeful, but how did finance connect to that purpose for you?
Yeah, great question. I've always had an interest in it.
Okay.
But in the Army, I just didn't have quite as much time to unpack it, right? To read books. I didn't really get into reading until probably 2 or 3 years into me being in the Army, whenever I realized it's actually really important.
This whole reading thing.
Yeah, it's like, this is why
everybody keeps talking about it. And there's libraries everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever I kind of got my own financial advisor back in the day, I really wanted to understand, what was I being invested in? How does this work? What's a Roth IRA?
Right.
Versus a traditional. And I'm the kind of guy that once I kind of get an itch for understanding something, it's not going to go away.
Okay. So you got a bug.
Yeah, I got a bug, and I really wanted to keep learning about personal finance. I got like finance for dummies and stuff like that, where I could just absorb as much as I could, and then obviously expanded upon lots of other topics.
That's awesome. So actually, like meeting with a financial advisor kind of ignited that, was a catalyst, and you already had a little bit of this. I've always kind of been interested in finance growing up, and then you're reading about it, that kind of fans the flame. Super cool. So another question, you have a personal motto, you only deserve what you earn. So share with us a little bit about why this is your quote and what that means to you to hear that.
Yeah. So that actually came from wrestling back in the day. So I wrestled in high school, did a little bit of middle school, and I went through like a time where I was pretty frustrated with myself. I felt like I deserved to be on the podium. And one of my coaches were like, you need to watch this video. Cause that quote's actually from an Iowa State wrestling coach. And he was like, his quote is, you only deserve what you earn. And it kind of stuck with me, I guess, at the time. More got frustrated because I was like, I don't care. So I want to win. But as it I developed, right, as a leader and in the Army, you start to really realize like, I wholeheartedly believe this. And as a Ranger instructor, I instilled that, or did my best to instill that in candidates that would come through to the course, that you don't get a tab by just being here. Like you have to earn your Ranger tab, and everybody that sees that on you knows you had to earn it. There's no just flopping through the course.
Man, we all could use some more of that. I definitely meet a lot of people that just like they feel like they deserve it just because they want it. Like you're saying, like you wanted to be on the podium. You just felt like, well, I deserve to because I just want it so bad, but like you deserve it when you've earned it.
Yep.
I love it. That's great. That's great. So you're also a big fitness enthusiast. It's kind of funny, like how we, we've got some other advisors, Justin, who's really into fitness as well. And actually, I think his undergrad was in
exercise science.
Same
right?
As me. Same as yours. Yeah. So tell us about that. Tell us about health and exercise and fitness, how that plays a role.
Yeah. Well, whenever I went to school, I was trying to find something that I was actually interested in. Of course, in high school, who's not interested in lifting weights as a student athlete?
Right.
So I was like, how do I maximize this? My original goal was like, I'll do personal training and open up a gym someday, something like that.
Weren't you doing some personal training?
I did.
At some point?
I did. Yeah. That was like my first job out of college as I was waiting to go do my training for the Army. I did about a year of it and I enjoyed it. And also realized it's not what I wanted to do forever. So yeah, that kind of got me started. It was just, I was really into it. I love biology. I do like physiology and I like those aspects, especially the kinesiology, human movement side. And I think that by learning that, it really helped, odd to say, in the finance world, because the way you have to study the material, I think is really the same.
Well, and there's a lot of discipline that comes with it too, that I think kind of translates over to finance, and just the behaviors that come into it as well, right? Like you can just tell somebody like, hey, just do this many reps and this many sets with this much weight. It's really easy to understand. Just like, hey, you can save $500 a month in a Roth IRA and it'll be worth so much more in the future. The harder part is to actually understand the psychology about why somebody's going to do that or not, right? Which I think plays into the personal trainer, just like the personal financial advisor. So, well, that's awesome. We appreciate anybody being more into fitness and health around the office. We need all the help we can get because generally we're just going to order crumble whenever we feel like it. Sweets, we love them here. So let's move on to more of like the job of being a financial advisor. So, one of the things that I know is rewarding to you and it's rewarding to me too, is just this relationship that we get to build with our clients over time. So unpack like how that's rewarding for you. You getting to kind of work as an associate wealth advisor here and work with clients. Like, what has that been like so far?
Yeah, well, I think one of the best ways to not only better yourself, but to also help people is through serving. Right. And so really in this role, in this capacity, it's really what I do specifically for the other advisors, right? Kind of serve the team, but I also serve our clients, right? Be working with Kimberly with client, services stuff. And then I really like the idea of being able to answer questions and remove stress from people's lives because I know finance can be stressful.
Absolutely.
It stressed me out. And whenever I was like studying it and trying to learn it. And so I can't imagine, getting close to retirement and not knowing, can I?
Right. Do I have enough?
Is this going to last me enough time?
Yeah.
Like your biggest risk is running out of money in retirement. Right. So how do I know it's going to work out for me? And so being able to be a part of a team that helps answer those questions for people, yet again, goes back to the first question, providing purpose.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm actually serving and helping others.
It's such a block for folks, this financial anxiety, like the stress that people really feel around money. And if it becomes all consuming, it really limits their ability to live life to the fullest and be able to think about other things like creating memories, travel, spending time with loved ones, those kinds of things that can really trap you in that fear. And so it seems to be very powerful, at least for our clients, to sit down, like you said, and say, okay, like here's a plan. Here's how we can empower you to make better decisions. They're seeing kind of this, I call it the left side of the brain, where they're seeing the math and the planning and the what if we do this versus that, and where they're seeing what the plan, what the software, the projections say, or the spreadsheets. But on the right side of the brain, you've also got the advisor that's helping with, like we were talking about before, the behavior, the psychology. That client is reassured by an advisor saying, hey, I think this makes sense, or this is what my clients in your stage of life would typically do in this situation. That can be very, very helpful for them to make decisions. And really, you've seen this already and you'll see this more as you're in this field, is what removes that financial anxiety is having a plan.
Yeah.
And and having a plan that is dynamically updated, not just like this printed one-time plan, and also a plan that you're working together with a trusted advisor, right? You trust that advisor, their experience, their license. You're working on your certified financial planner, right? You're going to sit for that next year. So that's super cool. So you'll have the experience behind that as well. You'll have those credentials. And so when a client comes in and has somebody that they can trust like you and that plan, that's what removes that financial anxiety.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that too. We have a saying, right, in the military, Army really is no plan survives first contact. Right. So you go in and every mission that you do, you always have a very detail oriented plan. It's one of the things that we teach in Ranger School. It's called the troop leading procedures, right? How are you going to lead this 30 or 40 man platoon into your objective and your mission and complete the mission within a certain amount of time, right? But as soon as it starts, I can guarantee you it's not going to go the way that you thought it was going to.
So you said the first plan never survives first contact?
Yeah, your plan never survives first contact.
Man, that's so true.
And so that's why I like it here. It's like dynamic financial plan, right? It's the same thing. We're going to sit down in this room. We're going to get everything good to go. And then something's going to happen in 2 weeks and you're going to need help again.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny because we call it a plan because it just seems to make more sense, but it's just it's ongoing planning, and you have this moment in time where you check in on how's the planning going. The planning's going well. Look at what the planning or the plan looks like right now. Yeah. But the market's changing, life changes. It's going to be so different. So, but that's cool that you relate to that financial anxiety. You realize how that's just so common amongst just the human condition. We all have that financial anxiety, figuring out how to manage it. And that it's just really rewarding to help a client navigate those decisions. So super cool. You talked about getting into reading, and you've certainly learned by now that we're really into reading here. As a team, we read 2 books a year. Every client gets a birthday card on their birthday and can request a book of their choice. And the team always updates. Thank you, Angela, our producer, who updates that list every year and is constantly shipping out books because we really care about people growing and their personal growth, just not as our team. That's an internal value we have dedicated to personal growth. It's not just, we want to show our clients that it's not just about them growing their portfolios, but also them growing as individuals with their books. So you've got a list here of some of your favorite books that I recognize that I love. So share some of those with the audience.
Well, first, one reason I really love reading is because I kind of wholeheartedly believe everything you need to know has already been written down.
Right. Nothing new under the sun.
And so being able to be like, I don't know how to do this, so I can read a book about it. It's pretty helpful. But what really broke the financial, glass ceiling for me, I guess you could say, would be that first book. If you're like Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh yeah. Classic.
I did not know any of this even existed for the most part. The stock market kind of is, but no one really knows what it is until you start to get into it.
And even then we still don't really know, but we try.
Right? You try to navigate it. But I read that book and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a whole world out here of things that I didn't understand. And I would much rather be like the rich dad than the poor dad. And from there comes out all these other questions. And so that just kind of led to the book that is in there. It's called by Bob Lodich, The Simple Money Rich Life, of your money having a purpose is really what that book's about. And his purpose
I haven't read that one yet.
is giving. And so I thought it aligned really well with here. I actually finished that right before I applied to GIA. And it helped me with a lot of my giving questions. And how am I supposed to do this effectively? Right? Is it supposed to be net or gross tithe? Oh my gosh, I don't know any of this. And then you realize it's about just assigning your money a purpose. And if your purpose in the end is to give as much away as you possibly can, well, now you have a drive behind your success.
Yes. That's awesome. Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, he wrote a little book called Wealth Is It Worth It? Just this accumulating. He built a very successful business and he was collecting cars and doing all these things. But ultimately, he kind of answers the question throughout the book that wealth is only worth it, essentially the acquiring and the building of wealth, if you give it away. Right. Yeah. So that gives that purpose to it and that meaning. It feels so good and it makes such a big difference. So, all right. Well, right here before we sign off, would love for you to maybe share some of your proudest achievements up to this point.
Yeah. Wow. So, first, finding my wife and getting married.
There we go. Shout out, Hallie.
Shout out to Hallie. That was awesome. But it's funny because we got married the day I graduated Ranger School.
Oh my gosh. Just mix it all in.
Yeah, I know. So it's all together.
Might spread it out.
So it really helps me memorize the anniversary.
That's
really
true.
Well, yeah.
You got both tied into one. Smart.
So my second greatest would definitely be probably graduating Ranger School. That was the toughest thing I think I've ever done and will probably ever do.
Yeah.
I lost like 30 pounds in the process of doing it.
Okay.
I had to redo a phase. You get really sick in the middle of Ranger School because you're only sleeping like 30 minutes to an hour a day if you sleep at all, on top of burning 6,000 calories, only eating 4. So it's very discouraging. It's tough.
It's not just physically demanding, like major mentally challenging. Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful experience.
Yeah. And then the last one would just be like, I'm really glad I had the chance at least to deploy, right? To actually go out overseas, serve my country, and then just my time in the Army. I guess it would be a mix of 3A and 3B there of my third greatest achievement.
It's interesting because I guess your experience in the military seems to have really ingrained this kind of service, like the service to others. And I love how you tie that into what we're doing. I mean, technically we are a professional service provider. We are providing a professional service to our clients, and ultimately we are serving them. For the most part, it's tied into something financial, which finance ties into a lot of things. And so it's still keeps that alive of that service and that purpose. So that's great. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's been super exciting to get to know you more. Folks can go on the website, goodwinvestment.com, click on About, Team, something like that. Click on Coby. You can read more. You can see his picture and his beautiful wife's picture if you're not watching this, you're listening to it. And then we love to kind of sign off on the podcast with something we're grateful for. So while you're thinking about that, I will share that I'm grateful for. I'm starting to have a little bit more time as I've delegated things this year. Let some things go where I can do more writing. And so excited about, I've never really thought about like, oh, I'm a good writer. And I don't think I am a good writer, but I just am trying it out, like starting to write things down. Going to be working on my second book this year. So just grateful for, having that opportunity to start doing some more writing and seeing where that goes. So about you?
Yeah, mine would be being able to spend some time playing pickleball with my wife.
Yeah. You guys said you're doing that on Sundays now?
Yeah, we try to do that on Sundays.
Okay.
Especially if she doesn't have to work on Sundays, and we'll enjoy the nice weather, go out, play for an hour and just hang out and spend some time together.
That's awesome. That's a great weekend thing to do for sure. So you guys think you'll be on a team or anything like that at some point? See if you can get good?
Maybe. We're both competitive, so I could see it happening.
We could develop. Right now, the recreation is going to turn into competition soon. So, well, awesome. So, again, thank you so much for coming. I did want to let the listeners know if you guys wanted to learn more about Goodwin Investment Advisory, check out goodwininvestment.com. You can sign up for our blog there. You can, if you're ready to kind of unpack more about our services, you can schedule an intro call, and we would love to hear more from you. I also want to give a shout out to our producer, Angela, who's sitting across the table from us, and to Tara that helped to create some of our talking points today. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Money Pig Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To stay updated on new episodes, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you found value in today's discussion, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave a rating and review. If you have any questions about the topics we covered, feel free to visit us at goodwininvestment.com and reach out. This episode is produced by evance.net. This podcast is provided for informational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice, a solicitation to buy or sell any financial products, securities, digital assets, or other investment vehicles, nor as a basis for making any financial decisions. Goodwin Investment Advisory is a registered investment advisor with the SEC, CRD number 131193. Please note that the host and or guests may personally own securities, digital assets, or other investments mentioned in this podcast. Investments carry risk and are not guaranteed unless stated otherwise. We strongly recommend consulting with a qualified financial advisor, tax professional, insurance professional, and or legal professional before implementing any strategies discussed in this episode. Lastly, past performance is not indicative of future results.